Alright, here we are. Welcome to the audio commentary for my album. This first song is called Assembly Point. The first thing I remember writing is this melody that Andrew's playing right now. I remember sitting at the kitchen table and just singing it into my phone. And then later I transcribed it and harmonized it. I remember I was very into this song. I think it's called Questar by Keith Jarrett, and it's on My Song, which is just the most incredible collection of songs. Every song on that record is incredible. I love this bit when Cheryl takes over the melody and that note just really sings, and the way she phrases it, yeah, it's beautiful. It goes into this groovy bit and they swell. The way they swell, those swells that they're doing, they do that so well together. They're really listening and they're really locked together. And then I like the way Phil changes the feel here because the pedal finally moves. So the harmony finally moving feels, and Phil's feel change there is just on point. And then we're back to our first groove. This is kind of like a rolling rubato sort of section. Just something that I know Andrew and Phil love doing, and I love doing as well. This sort of push and pull kind of. And I think we really phrase this amazingly well as a band, which is cool, because it wasn't like that when we first started rehearsing. When we first started playing. That's cool because you can hear that we really have gelled as a band. Yeah, I really love Andrew's solo on this track. I love that he's got the first solo on the record, and I love that it's this solo. Such a great solo. Really well paced, such strong melodies, and then every now and then he just flexes like this. Ooh, wow. The way he brings that phrase into land, it's nice. Yeah, and then back to the sort of more long phrases over these. Yeah, I really love Andrew's playing. It's sounds like he didn't transcribe a lot of jazz, which is kind of, I think, what makes it sound a little bit fresh to me, a little bit hip, because he's sort of coming at it from a different approach. It's like this more avant-garde approach where everything's a bit more angular. Things are a bit more sporadic, a bit more sort of like unpredictable, which is something that I really like about his playing. I love hearing Cheryl play changes. Yeah, Cheryl's way of improvising, it's so different to mine. Like, she just uses her ear. Like, she doesn't even think about chords or anything. She can just like hear her way around this stuff and hear where she wants the phrases to go, and just like, she's not thinking about what note she's playing over what chord. She's just singing through her horn, and it's like, that's unusual to me. I'm always thinking like scales and chord tones and all that stuff. I can't really get away from it in the way that she can. So this section is a loop with Andrew coming in behind, and then when she goes on, she joins the melody, that's when we go on in the tune. It's got a pretty tricky form, this one. There's It was a bit of a puzzle trying to figure out how to make it work for the record because it's a long form. Here's that bit where the pedal breaks again. This is all still that melody that so originally I wrote this melody just by singing into my phone. In fact, I wrote all the melodies by just singing into my phone, including these ones. And then I added the counter lines and the harmonies and all that stuff later. I like the way the horns swap the melody in this whole song, basically. It was fun writing the counterline parts too, because they're all derived from the melody. And these trills, very euphoric when they hit. And so now we're back to the first A. This is the top of the form with Andrew on the melody, he's playing it up the octave. And Cheryl's got the backing figures, which line up right there with the original melody. So that's where you can hear where it's taken from, that rhythm and that phrase. And that's how we end the form. We just play the first A. It's kind of like you hear the back half of the tune and then you hear the front half of the tune. When the first time we heard it, we obviously heard it from start to finish. Yeah, I like starting gigs with that, and I like starting the record with it because it's called Assembly Point, and it kind of feels like it's a tune that we all just meet on. Once we play that, we just feel like we hear each other and we groove, and gives us an opportunity to get into the same spot. So Assembly Point feels like an apt title. So everyone on the record gets a solo introduction to one of the pieces, which is I really love it because it means we get a real taste of each of the individuals, each of the characters in this play. And they also set the tunes up really, really beautifully. So Tom did 3 of these intros, and I chose this one because it was the most fucked up. You can hear he is just annihilating his SG, getting some of the most insane sounds out of that instrument I've never heard them before, which is kind of why I felt like I had to choose this one, because I felt like a scientist, like making discoveries. Look what a guitar can make. What kind of sounds a guitar? Yeah, this is one of Tom's many strengths, is that he's so good at improvising in this way. The prepared guitar he does really well, and the detuned guitar he does really, really well. And just like this kind of like free form improvisation, it's basically just an exploration of sound, and he's very masterful at getting crazy sounds out of the instrument. I like that Tom gets to do the intro for this song, because I kind of feel like I really had him in mind when I wrote this song, this riff. I knew he would enjoy playing that riff, and I knew he would make it sound good. He's got that SG for a reason, you know, like. And I thought the most hilarious thing I could think of was to have a complete stop and then just have those 2 saxophones play that crazy chromatic scale in reverse order. And then these chords are all like really built around the guitar. This is an E minor, A7, you know, best chords on the guitar. And then these chords those are stolen from Monk. So I was listening to a lot of Monk when I wrote this song, because I wanted it to be quirky and weird and funny. And the other person who I can't not talk about is Dave King. There are very few musicians on the planet who have brought me as much joy as he has. His playing is just so amazing. Yeah, I just love his playing so much, and I love his like musical concept and his composition and like I feel like he's shaped my music in such a huge way. I actually had some lessons with him via Skype during the pandemic when I was writing this music, so I got to actually talk to him and ask him some things about his composition. Talk about him more later. I want to talk about this solo from Cheryl. I fucking love this solo. It's such a wild solo. She just cuts loose. That's one thing Cheryl's really, really good at, is just completely letting go and just like leaning into the emotion of something wholeheartedly. And she really did that with this. And Andrew he comes second, and then I like this thing. That thing that Tom does. What's that? Yeah, so Andrew comes in second and he's like, doesn't try to compete with Cheryl. He sort of plays with a bit of restraint, sort of pairs it back a bit until he starts to unleash a little bit here, and then you'll hear at the end when he just fully cuts sick. That flurry of constant 16th notes is just, yeah, awesome. And then here's Tom. Is that not just hilarious? The horns getting in, having something to say. So you can hear the tune still, like they're referencing it. I love this. Yeah, when it lands. Yeah. I kind of love that stop there. It always makes me think of Watermelon Man. You have that little Watermelon Man style stop in the form for soloing, which is it's kind of cute. I kind of like it. Here's our silly chromatic scale again. It's kind of just cheesy blues licks with these like diminished triads. And this bit always makes me think of The Chicken by Jarko, which is fitting because this song's called Duckie after our chickens. Our chickens are named Fran and Tam after the prominent jazz musicians Fran Swin and Tamara Murphy. Shout out to Fran Swin and Tamara Murphy. And our chickens are doing well. They're very hilarious girls, which is why I thought to call this song after them, because I wanted it to be funny, I wanted it to be playful, I wanted it to be silly, and they're silly creatures. So this is my ode to them. Okay, now we have very, very serious. No more jokes. This is Phil's intro. Got to really crank it for this one, or listen with headphones very quietly. But if you do, you shall be rewarded, because the sound of his drums and his cymbals is exquisite. It sounds like orchestral percussion. That's what it makes me think of. It sounds like a percussion ensemble or something rather than a drum kit, you know. And it's perfectly sets up the next tune. That's one of the things I really love about Phil, is just his sound. He's just got the most, it sounds like he's just spent his whole life honing this sound. So I feel like his solo is just us luxuriating in his beautiful sounds. Yeah, so this one is obviously eerie, spooky, kind of also weird, unusual things. And you kind of, it's lots of space, and you get to hear all the instruments sort of like one at a time, having a little something to say. And the harmony's very, very, like, kind of keeps you at sea. You don't really know where you are. It's quite unsettling. Yeah. So this one's a lot more composed. It's kind of a through composed thing that I was almost going for a sort of like classical-y type chamber band thing. It's actually some an idea that I've been really drawn to, and I've been exploring for some years. It kind of, I feel like it all stems from John Hollenbeck. Actually, Cheryl was the one who introduced me to John Hollenbeck. He's just amazing. Like, his composition is just unbelievable. And he sort of, one of his tricks is he talks about, I'll point it out actually, here it is. That bow double bass melody, that is essentially the cell that this whole piece is like built around. So all these little phrases, like this one. Oh, not yet. That one, and then this one, and this one. They're all just like the same phrase, but they're moved around and they're inverted, and yeah, basically this whole song is just like literally that one phrase, just playing with that one phrase and moving it around and making it gives it this kind of, yeah, it's weird and creepy. And so yeah, in this one it's kind of like there are these three melodic voices, me, Cheryl and Andrew. Tom sort of providing the harmony and the rhythm, and Phil is really just colouring it. Like, so it's like a string quartet plus percussion. That's how I kind of envision it. So this bit coming up to here is like a callback to the intro, which this bit here. So the intro kind of is also the end of the form in this instance. But yeah, basically this whole song, it's like there's a harmonic cycle in amongst all of those melodies that we just heard. And so this solo section happens over the same harmonic form, but it's just rubato. And so this bit, it's almost like I was imagining like the first, it's like a string quartet, a suite for string quartet, but in the middle there's Paul Motion and Charlie Hayden improvising, which is me and Phil in this case. And this is a kind of way of improvising that Phil and I have done quite a bit together, and we both really like improvising in this way. I know that Paul Motion is a big touchstone for Phil, and Charlie Hayden is for me too. So like, I think we connect on that, and you know, I didn't have to explain to Phil how to play this. I knew he would get the memo, and yeah, just he's a really beautiful like rolling rubato, textural, colourful, you know, in this kind of way, improviser. And yeah, so yeah, we had a lot of fun playing together on this one. And the guitar just sort of move us through the harmony, and they sort of like start out quite sparsely, and then it gets moving, the harmonic rhythm speeds up. Like this phrase. I like that phrase because like I don't even think I meant to do that. It just sort of came out. It's kind of, in some ways, it might be a mistake, but it actually turns out to be like my favourite bit, the whole solo. That's weird, isn't it? And so we're heading into the last time through the harmonic cycle. It only actually happens 3 times, including the solo in the middle. But, yeah, all the melodies changed and stuff. It's just supposed to be a big build, and it gets a little bit clashy. A big blow for the saxes. They always are puffed by the end of this, and you're about to hear the motif in all its glory here. Cheryl's got it. It kind of comes to this pretty landing point, but then instantly it goes back into this esoteric land. That phrase is like an inversion of the one that Andrew played at the very beginning of the piece. And then we hear, so these three notes that me, Andrew and Cheryl played, they're the first three notes of Cheryl's motif. And then the last chord that Tom plays, these whack chords, and then it sort of voice leads to this chord, which is those same three notes from that motif. And then this is like sweet relief after that somewhat challenging lesson. Hopefully it was engaging and you're still with us. But if you are, then you've been rewarded, I think, because this is just this is another example of Cheryl and Andrew phrasing really well together. I definitely exploited the chemistry these two have for my own creative benefit. And really, you can tell they really love playing together. They blend really well, kind of listening to each other's like every nuance, and they're sort of just super in sync rhythmically, and like just those little things like inflections. And so this song's a cover, and this little riff I flipped, but not in a super crazy way. And really all else I did was play around the rhythm of the melody. Cheryl actually did a fair bit of the harmonizing, which is basically like I harmonized it, but then Cheryl got in and made it better, basically. Made it more interesting, less predictable. So I think the harmonization on this is really cool. It's just things that I would never think of, like slightly clashing things like this. I wouldn't think to do that. It's quite clashy, but it's cool because it's so unpredictable. It's like you can hear that the harmony part is alive. It's not just a rote harmony, like it's really a melody in itself, which is something that Cheryl's capable of doing, which I really admire. I liked playing this with Tom and Phil as well, because I knew that Tom would like playing this kind of song. Like, it's just three chords for the most part, but I knew he would enjoy that, and he would really be able to get a kick out of that. And Phil has just got I feel like it just showcases his like really solid. He's got this really grounded kind of groove, which was actually an energy that he brought to the whole session and the whole band in general, just this feeling of groundedness. He's a bit more mature than the rest of us, it's probably that, to some degree. It might just be his personality too. But yeah, he's just solid, he's got nothing to prove, he's just enjoying it, just enjoying that feel. And Cheryl and Andrew improvise really well together as well. There's two moments on the album where they get to do this kind of a joint solo thing, and they're both beautiful. And they always are at the gigs too. They just phrase around each other really, really beautifully. This chord at the end, the overtone chord, that's a contribution of Andrew's. He got to stick a few overtones on this record, which are really, really cool. I'm glad that he was able to bring that flavour to it. Alright, now we're on the second side if you're listening to the vinyl. This one's called Bull Simple. The title means, it's from the book Grapes of Wrath, And basically, the Okies, they come up with this term to mean basically they're playing dumb to stay out of trouble. So the townies think that the Okies are stupid, and the Okies just pretend that they are stupid so that the townies leave them alone, essentially. And so they say, we're playing bull simple, essentially. And that kind of strikes at a little bit of the energy that I was trying to capture with this piece. It's kind of like, I'm really stupid. But actually, there's a lot of like cool, interesting, complex stuff that's happening in this tune. But it kind of sounds a little bit like the opening melody basically sounds like the Bunnings theme, you know? I love Andrew's solo on this. Again, it's a great example of that avant-garde kind of, I mean, there are chords in this solo section, but there aren't really chords, you know. It's just play whatever, and he gets to, it suits him perfectly. One of the things that I totally stole from the Bad Plus is just like when you write some wacky tune like this, which is like, you know, rocky and quirky and whatever, and then you just solo over the exact form, like with all the quirks in it. So yeah, this is just the form of the melody with all its quirks. It's 2/4 bars and it's little licks that take you into the different sections. And now here for Tom solo again. Those chords are not bothering him at all. He is free as anything. Nailing the changes. But it's just so rocking, feels so good. And he gets onto this, I love it when he gets onto like a riff. He will just stay on these riffs for a really fucking long time. He'd probably stay on it forever if nobody told him to stop. He loves to derail us with one of his riffs. I really like the way he abstracts the melody here. It's like, I can kind of hear the melody for the B section here, but it's just kind of all wrong. And it's that bit's Andrew's favourite part of the album. He makes him laugh every time. Very exciting to me. Now just drums and bass. It's kind of a refreshing emptiness. It's like a palate cleanser. I guess there's been a lot of noise. I like these little drum breaks. Something that I really like is when you hear something again, but it's different. Like the harmonization between Cheryl and Andrew is different on the head in and the head out. And this B section melody starts out the same, but then it changes. And again, this is some Cheryl harmonization. Basically, this is where we just get as silly as we possibly can. Maximum silliness. And then here's the riff. I love that ending. Cheryl's note sounds like a dying animal. It's very funny. Alright. Okay, no more jokes. Serious again. This is Andrew's intro. Andrew's actually really good at playing solo, so asking him to do this was not an issue. He's released an entire EP of solo saxophone, and which is like incredible. Yeah, he makes the saxophone sound very different to I've ever heard it before. A lot of I remember one of my friends saying, "It sounds like it's underwater. It sounds like he's so good at getting all those overtones and extended technique stuff, quarter tones." And now here he's bringing in the melody. Phrases this melody very, very beautifully too. I love those things that he does. Starts out just trio. And the guitar joins. And we have the two saxes playing fourths. This is another example of them phrasing really beautifully together, super back. And another example of Cheryl just like, I feel like leaning into the emotion of the piece. Even like, yeah, just good at just, again, letting go, giving her whole self to the thing. And Andrew totally going with her. And now she takes over the melody. To our B section. Yeah, this song's like in some ways the most conventional song on the album. It's like A, A, B, A, the B slightly longer, and then there's like a coda section. But aside from that, it's like almost just a jazz tune, although to me I still I don't know if it probably holds up as a lead sheet, but without the arrangement it just feels like, yeah. Anyway, this song's called Atonement. So it has a bit of a heavy title and a bit of a heavy feel to it. What I was thinking of with what I was thinking of atoning for was basically just being complicit in harboring a exclusionary community, specifically to women, but we haven't even really started talking about, race and class and other intersectional diverse communities. But basically, I guess I realized that even in reflecting on who influenced this album and whatnot, it's pretty much a very small circle of people who look pretty much exactly like me. I love that Cheryl gets to take a solo on this song, because is Cheryl not just like some kind of crazy miracle? Like, how did this brown woman wind up in this world? Like, didn't she notice that there's literally no one else who looks like her doing this? It's quite amazing. I am really feel like really lucky that we have her at all. I feel lucky that I have all of these people though, so it's hard, yeah. She takes a beautiful solo on this song. She really slays it actually. like that we get to hear Tom solo over like a conventional, or like solo in a conventional way where he's like playing over changes. Here's that SG sounding very different, you know. It's got this thick, it's actually quite lovely as a jazz guitar. And he actually is so beautiful over this. His phrasing is incredible and super melodic. I love this bend that he does right here. Oh, that's a great phrase. And sax is playing the melody as the backing. And then the saxes come back in the B section, and Tom keeps soloing, and he starts to get a bit weirder and a bit more abstract. But then he sort of resolves it in a beautiful, beautiful way. And keeps soloing over the B section, using up in this high register. This to me is a really great solo. And I love the way he ends it. And then back to the melody. Final A. So there are 3 A's, but each one of the A's is different. The third A has Cheryl playing a counterline, basically. And then we're going to take the coda. I thought, what's the point of having 2 saxophone players who can circular breathe in a band and not like exploiting that? So, you know, I'm going to give them some arpeggios. This was a big blow for them too. Yeah. This last note is a crazy big blow. Check it out. Oof. I love this last A. Back to trio, just like the beginning, but rubato. Yeah, Andrew and Phil are both very good at playing rubato. It's that rolling rubato thing again. Uh-oh, we're in for something here. Immediately in the wrong key. Yeah, this one is called 2075 and it is meant to be kind of like a little bit of a post-apocalyptic hellscape. This riff kind of always makes me think of Rage Against the Machine. It's a little bit Bulls on Parade, but again, this is a very John Hollenbeck piece. It's all about that cell. Basically, that phasing thing that Cheryl and Andrew do. And then we just put the riff in a different time signature. And Andrew doing those growls and those low notes with his sound awesome. I love some of those fills that Phil does. Those splash cymbals. Yeah. I remember I wrote this melody whilst sitting in my lounge room just after teaching a Zoom lesson during COVID. This riff is, again, it's still taken from the motif, but it's kind of like, it's like an inverse version of that riff. It's like pocketed almost. You put the two together and then back to the original riff with some harmonic movement. Yeah, so this solo, this is another entirely through composed piece. So this solo, it's not particularly interactive. It's just Andrew's just basically throwing energy on top of this constantly building groove. It's a trick. This was by far the hardest song I think that we played. This groove was not easy. And there's quite a lot of odd time bars not in this section, but in this song in general. But there's a tune by John Hollenbeck. It's called Nice Tune. This is by the Claudia Quintet. So the Claudia Quintet is probably my favourite of John Hollenbeck's things. I mean, his large ensemble writing is amazing too, but the Claudia Quintet is something special. And yeah, so this song Nice Tune was a little bit of a template for this composition. So the cool thing about this whole cell approach is I feel like you can write a lot of notes, but if it's all derived from this one cell, it all kind of hangs together. Like, what's this melody? Where'd this come from? Well, basically, I took the original riff and I harmonized it with all 12 notes from the chromatic scale, built chords around that. So basically, taking these three notes and then fleshing them out into chords, making a chord progression like that, and then writing a melody over the chord progression, which was that melody that you heard, and now you hear Cheryl improvising over those chord progressions. I really love Cheryl's solo on this one, actually. It's kind of got this, like, I mean, she just really phrases over things a lot. It's very flowy and fluid, and it kind of has this like disintegrating feel, which was basically the intention. The whole thing's winding down. She gets that really weird tone. It's like almost, it's quite fragile. And then we've got this little chorale section to take us out. Bit of an epic tune. 2075. Yeah. All right. One to go for the quintet, at least. Cheryl's intro. So, as I mentioned before, Cheryl has a good ear. She has a very strong connection between her ear and her saxophone. So when she plays an intro like this is just her singing through her horn. She hears such beautiful melodies and phrases them really, really beautifully. And, of course, she sets this tune up beautifully, which is a really beautiful tune. It's actually my favourite tune on the album. It's the one I'm kind of most proud of, actually. For me, it sort of hits this sweet spot of being new and original, but also being really beautiful and something that you would actually want to hear. It starts out just Cheryl. I remember I sung this melody in the car. And I wrote this bass line over it. To accompany it, rather. And the thing I like about it is that the bass line is like a through composed thing, so even though the melody has these repetitive phrases, the bass line and the chords reframe the melody. And the acoustic guitar on this track is just the icing. And then Andrew takes over. So I haven't had a moment like this where the saxophones have sort of passed the torch like that. So it starts to build, and then there's new melody and new harmony. And the harmony's simple, but it's not, kind of moves around a little bit. It's not strictly diatonic, and there's some 2/4 bars in there and things like that. And then I love this contrapuntal bit. And it's sort of slowly building to this solo section, which is like the climax. So this is all in 6. All the chords are built around the guitar, basically. These open chords on the guitar. It's another example of Cheryl and Andrew improvising really, really beautifully together. Yeah, they really take it there. It's just what it needs. I feel like this song, it's not that long, but it's sort of just, it's beautifully paced. I love the pacing of it, I think. That's what the form, I think, is what I'm most proud of. I didn't copy this form from anywhere. It's got this unison melody that takes us out. You don't hear the saxophones playing in unison very often on this record. This, I can't help think about Barney McCall with this bit. When I first heard Mother of Dreams and Secrets, and the way he just writes these lines, long lines that are essentially the melodies of the tunes but just don't repeat at all. I feel like that was pretty mind-blowing for me. Bit of a game changer. So yeah, when I write that melody, or that line, that unison line that comes out of that solo, and yeah, his approach to form and everything, yeah, like if I was going to point to anyone, it'd probably be him, like, that influenced this tune. It's we're slowly, yeah, the whole symmetry thing, that's obviously something that I like a lot. Getting the arc right. It's pretty cute that it ends with me and Cheryl as well. That one was named Helen after my dad's grandma. And this one's named Joyce after my mum's grandma. So this is the grandma part of the record. So this is a solo double bass piece. I was very much inspired by Ben Monda with this one. Ben Monda writes the most incredible solo guitar pieces. They're so long, they're so dense, they're so complex. It's just truly mind-blowing to me. Like, it's honestly like, to me, it's like the pyramids or something like that. It's like, how did a human create that? Like, it's truly like one of the, to me, it's like one of the greatest human achievements or something, like, of our species, like his pieces anyway, and his tunes that he, anyway. I tried to do something of that scale, but it's like, it's kind of like probably about half as like long and complex as something he would write. Maybe a quarter, actually. Yeah. But also, I'm playing it on the double bass, so it's pretty fucking hard. It's by far the hardest thing I've ever played, and it took me months to write and years to learn. And actually, I don't even think that. I've gotten a little bit better at playing this since I recorded it. Yeah, so it's but it was cool. It was cool to write something that really pushed my technical ability. I had to get better to be able to play this, which was I'm the kind of practicer that really needs a goal. When I have a goal, or when I have a reason to achieve that goal, I need some sort of external. So I had something to say on this instrument, and I had to get better in order to say it, which was cool. This is where it changes key. It goes into, to me, this is where it gets brighter. We go from sort of basically what I think of as F major to D major. This part's supposed to be like really joyful. I was kind of excited about a new romance when I was writing this section of the song, and I tried to capture some of that excitement and joy. Yeah, so this was all during COVID, when I was basically alone a lot with my bass. But often just take my bass out into the backyard, play in the sun. This gave me something to work towards, to work on, kept me going during the lockdown. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have played my bass as much, basically, because I didn't really feel like I had much of a reason to. But this gave me a reason. So this piece, yeah, it gave me a lot of. There's so many challenges that it kept me busy, I guess. Writing it kept me busy for a while, and then learning it kept me busy for a really long time. So that was kind of the purpose of it. I hope I can write more tunes like this, but I'm sort of concerned that I might need another lockdown in order to do it. I really would like to. I have to find a way to. So this is where, after that sort of major happy section, this is where things start to get really fucked. I was actually thinking a lot about Marcos when I was writing this part. This was around the time when his dad was passing away, and I was thinking about him and those feelings that he was experiencing, super intense feelings. It's kind of like, as somebody who wasn't going through it, but like was imagining going through it, it's almost like unimaginable. Like, how can you cope with that, so that was just this sort of real darkness, and then this is supposed to be the off the cliff moment where it just comes to a bit of a crash. So to clarify, it's not really written about my grandma. It's actually named after my bass. I named my bass after my grandma, and so it's really named after my bass. It's just me and the bass, this one. And this is like a little improvised cadenza, which is pretty free. Tried to be kind of conversation with the phrasing in this bit. But it's fun because I play it differently every time, so. some stuff about it that and then it sort of comes to rest, and this figure takes us back, and we kind of start where we end where we started. Surprise, surprise. My favorite trick. But back to the warmth of F major. And this is kind of like a greatest hits of the cool chords that I found in the F major section. So this is all in. So basically this song alternates between 9/8 and 7/8, the whole thing. And this bit's all in 9. It's basically, I would have these like 9/8 sections, and then I would have these 7/8 melodies that would link up these 9/8 sections, and this is just all the 9/8 chords with this nice ending. Ends on the 4. Classic. Hey, that's it. I hope that was interesting. Thanks for listening. Super appreciative. All right. Bye.